So good evening and welcome back to the Down the Lane podcast. Tonight we have Bobbie back. Welcome, Bobbie. Good to have you back.
Hello, welcome.
How have you been?
I have been, yeah, yeah, good. I think it's very happy that the season's over now.
Yeah.
I think I don't really want to reflect on much, but here we are tonight to discuss that all.
Yeah. And apologies, this one's a late one, but obviously I've been a little bit busy with other things. Miles, good evening to you. How are you?
Hello, mate. Hello, mate. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Looking forward to putting a stop to this season and just sort of wrapping up the last bits, and then hoping to be positive a bit more in the next few months, hopefully. What have
Yeah.
you been up to, though, Bad? So I heard you've had a busy couple of weeks, mate.
Yes, so I stood for election to East Sussex County Council, which was obviously had to take all my focus. But we didn't get a lot of time, only about 7 weeks. Yeah, finished in third place, got 768 votes with 21.9% share. So pretty happy with that, really. First time
Nice.
at that level. And yeah, I'll definitely be back next year. I think, to be fair, in honesty, I think I had a half decent chance. And I think a few others thought so until the national turquoise steam train came flying down the track and absolutely took everyone out. So, yeah, but really enjoyed it actually. To be fair, met a lot of good people. So yeah, all good stuff. All good stuff.
For
So
finishing third, do you get a semi-final? I'm just asking, like,
no,
do
I
you
don't
get
know.
a
No, I don't
semi-final?
get. I don't
No.
get a playoff or anything like that. No, no
Oh,
playoff.
damn it.
Uh,
No, it's
Shame.
just it's
Shame.
just rejection and go back to the next year. Obviously, I know we're only here for an hour or whatever else, but obviously, all my focus, um, my whole mindset really had to be on the election because obviously, with 8,000 people to try and encourage to vote for you, 6-7 weeks isn't really a long time, and with the with the elections being cancelled, yeah, it was difficult. So we only had a short time, but I've got a year to prepare for the next one. So onwards and upwards, and I will definitely be there next year. So
get the open top bus ready.
yeah, no, we won't be quite doing that, Bob. But there
Right,
we
you
go.
don't stretch that far.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know whether East Sussex haven't got a budget at the moment. I don't quite know how
There
Reform are
you
going to
go.
do what they promised, but there we go. We will wait and see, and I will certainly be holding them to account. So right, come on, let's go on with it. Last few games of the season, obviously we had a few league games and also the Senior Cup semi-final. Not the Sussex Cup, as it seems to keep getting called, but I can't have that. It's the Senior Cup to me. It always will be. So, what's your thoughts? I'll start with you, Bob.
Yeah, I'm happy it's over. I'm more frustrated that I didn't kind of see our last win of the season. Me and Mars decided to go to Hornchurch and watch a 0-0 draw, so that one's on us.
That's karma.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Listen, it's been a long season. It felt longer than the season before. It's just we were bound to go down. As much as we were all saying, all climbing onto a bit of hope we were staying up, and me stupidly saying we're staying up on the radio is now I look like an idiot. Yeah, it's just it hits now that we're now playing at step three for the second time in what feels the second time in about 20 years. Yeah, it's just it's longer than that. Yeah, no. This league's new to us. As I said many times, we've never been in the Eastern League, so who knows what that has in store. But listen, it's just it just felt like we knew, like I said, we knew it was coming. I think you can look back to when looked back to our first loss against Hornchurch. You could see that the squad wasn't up for the fight, and we warned people that something like this would happen this season, and we gave them signs, and here we are. We wouldn't be sat here saying we're relegated without them signs, but yeah, it's still mental that we've gone from finishing third in the league to bottom of the league as our worst season in the club's history, our lowest points tally in the club's history, and there's not really anything positive to say. I guess. I mean, I think our only sort of positive moment was our little blip under Robbie Blake, who kind of managed to steady the ship, and then the ship sunk again. So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I didn't see last few games either. It was, like I say, it was focusing on other stuff. So, and also, I just didn't want to see us go down. You know, I I just couldn't do it. So yeah, difficult, and it hurts, right? But you know, it's happened. We can't change that now. I'm sitting here at whatever it is, 7:30 on a Monday night, looking at the fact that I think tonight my other team can get relegated as well. I mean, not officially. You know, if Spurs win tonight, that's West Ham down and all. So yeah, I've had a right good year, to be fair. I mean, football wise, and you know.
Don't worry,
but there we go.
Millwall might come up yet. Millwall might come up.
I know that. I'll listen. That'll just make it. You know, that'd be it, wouldn't it?
Well, I think Millwall going up in the same year.
I know, yeah. Wherever the Millwall going up, Borough and West Ham going down. It's like,
what a year.
You know, I mean, you know, write a book about it for Christ's sake, you know. But there we go. Just something you said there, though, Bob, where you said about you on the radio, and you know, saying that you feel like a bit of a tit because you said we were staying up. Totally not right. Yeah. I thought that to be fair, you're. I think you spoke so well. I think you showed your passion. And no, I think you did. I thought it was great. And at the end of the day, it is difficult. It is difficult when someone catches you on the hop straight after a game because, you know, how many times have we sat there and we've gone away. We drive back in the car and we're moaning and groaning, and then we do a podcast on the Sunday and we say, actually, it wasn't quite that bad. So, you know, you haven't had that time to reflect and whatever else. You know, we're in the car and whatever else. But yeah, no, look, listen. At the end of the day, I thought you came across well.
Listen. At Hampton, for me, I think for everyone, it felt like a turning point in our season. Yes, we had about 6 games to go, but Robbie Blake we had won against Torquay, lost against Dorking, and beaten Hampton. Like, that's 6 points, and we put up a good fight against Dorking. Don't get me wrong, but I said it because I felt like it was happening. And I wish it did. Like, at the end of the day, I think, yes, we've got Steve King in, and we'll touch more on him in a bit, but I still should have thought we should have got Steve King at the end of the season, and I have no disrespect to Steve King, but I think under Robbie Blake we would have had a better chance of staying up, but just based off the momentum and the mood within the team. That's just my feelings.
I think you're right there, and I think momentum was a big thing this year. And when we got it, we lost it very quickly. You know, we gained that momentum and then we lost it. You look at that away game at Dover. You know, we had a great day. We played well. The fans were electric that day. And that could have been a turning point, but then, you know, we don't turn the corner. The Robbie Blake thing could have been a turning point. We lose down at Salisbury and they change him. And I mean, I kind of understand that. I kind of understand the fact that they were probably looking at the season before or 2 seasons before when Adam came in and had that bit of time to get his side together for the following year. And took a, you know, we went from relegation to, you know, or the relegation zone and just staying up to, you know, 1 point off the league. So I can see why they did it. I just think that it was the wrong time. And you know, look, at the end of the day, people have said that they've made mistakes. They've openly been honest about it and said that stuff's gone on, and it is difficult. It is difficult. At the end of the day, they're there to be shot at. We're here to be shot at. You know, we give our views, and let's be fair. There are people sometimes that come up to us and say, you said the wrong thing. I've just done an election campaign where I've had a lot of people coming up to me going, I don't agree with what you say, but that's fine. That is fine. I've got no issue if people don't agree with what I say. I've got no issue if people don't want to vote for me, because at the end of the day, everybody has got an opinion, and nobody's opinion's wrong because it's your personal opinion. It's. I think there needs to be less of the. I think people need to understand that more, and I think the you know I think it'd be a better place at Eastbourne Borough if people did accept that actually some people are just look, that's my view, and I'm allowed my view the same as anybody else is allowed their view. Um, and it's your own personal view. We don't all see things exactly the same, and if we did, it'd be a bloody boring world because we wouldn't even be sitting here talking tonight because we'd have nothing to talk about because we'd all be thinking exactly the same. It'd just be a few nods and thanks, see you next week. So yeah, there you go. Miles, what's your thoughts on the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, that's on the whole Robbie Blake, Steve King timing, etc. I did ask it in the fans forum, and then I sort of like push back on the answer as well to get a bit more clarity around it because I feel like it was probably it probably turned our relegation fight into a relegation, I don't know, damp squib. That's what I want to call it because it felt like we were in a fight before Steve King came in, and then since Steve King came in, it just sort of felt like it all just petered off, and everyone sort of knew we were going down at that stage. So that was disappointing. But then at the same time, David Blackmore gave me a really good answer to clarify it. We going into next season, we want to make sure that the recruitment and the squad structure and everything like we're going to talk about tonight is in place, so we can tackle this Ishmael League head on. Because I disagree with you boys. I'm not sure if you do think we would have stayed up on Robbie Blake. I don't think we would have done personally. Like looking at the table now, we were 14 points adrift. I can't see us winning another 5 games in the last month and a half personally. If we had Robbie Blake compared to Steve King, that's just my personal view. We might have been closer. We might have been like 21st, 22nd. But I still think at the time it was the wrong decision to let him go in a short-termist point of view. But then if we'd have made a short-termist decision then, kept Robbie Blake on, then got to this point, then got Steve King in, and then he hasn't had time to assess the squads, work with them day to day, sort recruitment, sort this whole Tunbridge situation out, etc. Who knows? It might push our strategy back for the summer. It's all hindsight, right, isn't it? So that's where I sit on the whole Roy Blake issue. I think the last time we did a podcast like this, I think it was with Andy, wasn't it? I think it was with Andy, wasn't it? Yeah, so it must have been before Worthing. So we haven't actually done a podcast since we got relegated, which is probably not a bad thing for our mental states. But yeah, I feel like I'm at the point now where I'm just sort of over it. We knew we were going down for 2 months. It's really disappointing. It's sad. I've said all these things. I don't want to go over already trodden ground. And I don't think there's much use in us dissecting each and every game that we've had in that time. It was ironic that we were 3-0 up away in the last game of the season, which was in a place we never win at, Chelmsford as well. Our record there is horrendous. We've had countless losses, like the 4-2 last year. We got spanked 5-0 there a few years ago. So for this group of lads that I haven't been showering in praise this season, to go and beat them, it's quite funny in some ways. So yeah, at least gave the fans that went, fair play to them, a good final away day. But yeah, I think the 2 games that summed it up for me, like back end of this season, we haven't spoke about, was the Tottenham game, to be 2-0 up and like fairly comfortable and just to completely let that go over half time and pretty much concede 4 legitimate goals because they had that one ruled out, which was a bit weird. Well, no, they scored it, didn't they? And then it got ruled out, and then they did the exact same thing like 30 seconds later. That to me just like summed up the comedy show on the pitch this season. It's getting to the point now you can probably tell I'm just sort of laughing at it, because if you don't laugh you cry. So I find it easier to make humour out of stuff, I guess, at this point. And then Worthing, I actually felt we played quite well. It was disappointing because we obviously could have prevented them from winning the title, but it wasn't to be. And fair play to them, like genuinely congratulations for going up to Worthing. They definitely deserve it after knocking on the door for so many years. And just while I'm on the note of congratulations as well, congratulations to Adam and Kidderminster forward in the National League North playoff final, thoroughly deserved. To beat South Shields 3 times in the season, beat Macclesfield in the semi-final. After all the stick he got at the start of the season from the Kidderminster fans, I hope he's had a few apologies his way because I was backing up on Twitter. So yeah, thoroughly deserved to him and anybody who's still playing for Kidderminster that play for Borough. Maybe Pierce Bird, and that's it. Jack Clark, maybe.
Jack Clark and Pierce Bird.
Yeah, scratched those boys, and then Alexander as well. Albeit it's sad to see him go.
But yeah,
Shows it's the right move for him to go and get a promotion with Hornchurch. Massive gratitude to Hornchurch. As Bob said, we did go down there to potentially see them win the league on the last day. It wasn't to be, but yeah, fair play to them to be such a small club. And I mean that with all due respect, like they're a smaller club than us and they're outperforming us. So that just shows how much credit they should get for getting up to the National League, a phenomenal achievement. So well done to them. But yeah, in terms of our season, it's done now. Only other thing I want to get your boys' thoughts on is the Senior Cup, because I guess it was the sort of last game that mattered a bit if we could have got to the final, which I think would have been on Wednesday. But yeah, that sort of went out of a damp squid as well, didn't it? Yeah, what's your boys' thoughts on the old Senior Cup? None of us went, so we can't comment too much on
I watched it. I watched it about 4 pixels while on holiday, so I didn't bother watching it.
Fair enough. I did see it. I did watch it.
I was watching it about 4 pixels in the middle of Centre Parks, so. And then I was, yeah, that's my take on it. So.
No, obviously, again, it was the wrong timing for me. Just over a week before. So, yeah, I was kind of hoping that we'd win because it would get me to see Borough again. But this season, but we didn't, and that was that. Yeah, I don't know. It'd been a day out, wouldn't it? Going on to a couple of things you said there, Miles. Obviously, massive congratulations to Adam, and I know a few people that know Adam watch this, so if they can pass that on, I know it comes from all 3 of us. And I thought his interview was spot on afterwards because he said that he's got the master of beating them, and like you said, he's beaten them 3 times this year now. And it was when we get a goal, right, go straight again, because he knows their heads dropped, and they scored 2 in 3 minutes, and that's the end of that. 2-0 up, you shouldn't be losing a game of football, especially at that level. So yeah, fantastic, well done to him and the players, and well done to George. I mean, as you said, it proved that it was the right move for George, and I think. We all knew that at the time. We all knew that it was probably the right thing for George. So, congratulations to him. Just one other thing as well. You said everyone looked good on the last day of the season. I actually thought they did look good. But I don't know who... and this is only said in jest. I'm not having a pop at anybody. But shit shirts, right, for a shit season. It was like, I just thought, what a... the fancy dress, I had to chuckle. But look, we've got to make the best of it. We are where we are. We're not going to change it. We can sit here moaning, groaning, whatever. We're not going to change it. We have all had time to settle down. We have all had time to think about it. We all went to to the Meet Steve King night, which. And meet the board night, which I thought was, I thought it was a good night, really. I mean, I certain questions were asked, and I think it was good to air everyone's everyone's issues on that night. Whether that was done by asking Simon and Alan questions or asking questions, or not, then whether it was done privately, that's it was done. We move on, and we've got a season to come, right? So let's move on. So
we don't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry, I had to celebrate. I had to celebrate. That's massive. That is. I'm so sick of being negative. Excellent.
So right now we move on. So we've got our retained list. Bobbie, I'm going to hand over to you. This is your
no,
section. This is your section.
One last bit, boys.
So, but I'll retain list of players that will be with us next year, we hope. So we are looking forward to next season.
Yeah, so I won't go through the whole list. I'll just name a few that have left. So, Ola Adamoya's gone, Lee Angle's gone, Kingsley Okone's gone, Lachlan Bird gone, Kevin Castro, Jane Davis, Leif Farney, Will Harley, Harvey Lintop, Ronan Luther, Adam May, Isaac Blado, Mo Sagaf, Jamie Searle, Harvey Skeeters, Archie Taylor, and Sydney Turner have all left following the expiration of their contracts this season. Will Armitage and Jack Jebb have both left after their loans have finished. Freddie Carter, Dan Quick, and Zach Tarrant are in discussion over a new contract. So fingers crossed, Freddie, Dan, and Zach, you never know, could stay on for next season. And are contracted for next season are Kai Corbett, Craig Eastman, Arthur Grout, Alex Hobden, Matt Mullins, Gold Omiato, Harry Phipps, and Tate Trusty. I think those who have left, I've got no argument with that. I think I'll leave it there.
Other than Davis.
Yeah, other than Jane Davis.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple I would want to keep on there, but I understand May doesn't want to play.
Yeah, I think Adam May and Jane Davis are the big two. I think you could argue Leif Fairney as well. Freddie Carter, Dan Quick, Zach Tarrant. I think, hopefully, I would like to see all three return. Zach looked quite promising in the Senior Cup games as well when he made first appearances in the league. And the lot that are contracted for next season, I think if we can build a good squad around those, we'll have a good title playoff challenging squad. That's not to say that someone comes in to buy any of those players. The transfer window, I think is open. I don't know if it opens on the 1st of June.
I don't think it actually comes down to our level, does it? Transfer window, I think
they close it. They close it before the playoffs.
Yeah. So you can't get any players in for the playoffs.
I think it's the 1st of June.
Yeah. That list of retained players for me, I think when you look at the players that are retained or on contract for next year, I think it goes back to what Steve King said on the night when we were down there about building a spine of a team. You can see that spine right through the middle there, and maybe maybe options with that as well, and building the main bit, and then filling in around the outsides, and I think that should them players, because let's be fair, them players are obviously probably the players that are contracted. I would say at least 50% of them will probably come in for offers from other clubs,
100%,
and it depends on it depends on that's a minimum, and it depends on whether they stay with us. I mean, I hope they do. I hope they do on the strength of the fact we're going to have a new pitch. Obviously, the pitch is being laid this year, which we've got. We've got the health, the treatment centre and whatever is should be open by then. So I think as a club, we have a lot to offer. We just don't have the status in the league, and at the end of the day, listen. I mean, everybody loves winning, right? We want to go and watch teams win all the time, and I look at the teams that we've got in the Isthmian this year, and I look at how many teams have come down from the National South to the Isthmian and gone back up. We know it's 2 in 20 odd years. There's not a great deal of difference, I don't think. I think you will have probably 3 or 4 whipping boys in the league. I think you'll have maybe the rest of the teams will probably be split into 2 groups, and that's one that would like to be finishing in the top 10. And the reason I say top 10, even though it's only going to be 8 or 9 teams, is because there will be teams that float into that, and teams that will just be wanting to secure Isthmian League football for the following year. So I think the players that we're looking at keeping, I like the sound of. I just hope that we get the right players around them. And I'm with you guys. I think if we could have got Jaden back, we know Jaden was only up at King's Lynn on loan, but I would have loved to have seen him back because I think he was. I think he was a bright spark a lot of the time, and I think with that little step down, because like I say, I don't think there's a massive deal of difference, and I think there's teams that will go for it this year in the Isthmian. And I think that is the thing for me, that's the thing with non-league football that I've seen over the years. You know, you'll get teams like Hornchurch, teams like where they just try and maintain that league. You know, just keep kicking in. They're not worried about going up. If they get into the playoffs, they get into them, and they sort of build up and build up and build up. And then one year they go, right, bang, we're having a tilt at it this year. You know, one of the teams I see like that, to be fair, one of the bigger teams in the south is Maidstone. I don't think Maidstone have yet had a proper tilt at the title. You know, they've been about there, but then we was about there. You know, when we had Danny Bloor, you go back to the sort of, you know, the sort of years through Danny Bloor and that. We were there. We was up and about, but actually, we at that point we probably couldn't afford to go up. So yeah, of course, it's lovely to have a good season. It's lovely to win games of football because it brings people through the gate. But I'm sure there are a very nervous chairman every now and again that are thinking, I can't afford this. And we know from when we went, I mean, you two guys weren't about, but the older fans amongst us will know that our 3 years in the National League itself probably cost Eastbourne Borough. But it certainly cost them Gary Wilson because, you know, obviously Gary had gone and I think if we hadn't have gone up, or if we'd have come straight back down in that first year, Gary wouldn't have gone because but it cost us a manager. It cost us a lot of money. It cost us, well, it didn't cost us. It cost the board a lot of money. And it did cost us really in travelling as well. But yeah, listen, it was lovely to be there. But I think that, you know, I understand that a football club has to be built on a business model, and I mean, I've mentioned this one before. You know, I look about at what clubs are doing, and I love what Farnham are doing. I absolutely love what Farnham are doing, and I think that, you know, there's probably a lot to be learned from Harry Hugo down there. He's only young. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be learned, and he's doing it his way, right? So, yeah. So there you go. That's me on the players. Miles, your thoughts on the retained?
Yeah, obviously about going through all of the ones that have left. I think the main ones were sort of a bit disappointed it didn't stay. Were obviously Davis. Like, thank you for his contribution over the last 2 years. Back end of last season, he was electric at times. Great player. We saw flashes about this season. I mean, he scored the goal of the season for me with the Hampton and Richmond chip. Like, it just shows his quality to score that sort of goal. So hopefully he can get a move back in the National League South or North, or even the National League. It's like on his day he's that level. So yeah, thank you to him. Yeah, people like May would have been nice to keep, but I understand he's too good to play in the Isthmian Premier Division. Probably can get another pro contract somewhere else. So yeah, he was a standout for us. Yeah, there's just quite a few players on that list that just didn't quite work out for one reason or another. Like Pip Blado is one that brings to mind for me. Was in the team of the season when they were with Hampton and Richmond before we signed him. Then he's had a few injuries, didn't really look himself. I don't think he really got back to where he was to Hampton and Richmond, to be honest. I don't think we ever really saw the best Isaac at Bar, which is a shame. But yeah, he's obviously a player we had for a while. But I've got brutally honestly, a lot of the players on this list I don't really have a connection to, just because they've not been here for 5 minutes. They've had countless poor performances, or they've a bit part player. Like, respectfully to players like Sidney Turner, I don't think I even saw him play football. I think he came off the bench at Hemel. I wasn't there at Hemel. So, yeah, there's a lot of players there that, unfortunately, you're going to forget in about 5 or 10 years' time. That's the brutal honesty of it. But yeah, I don't feel like we're missing anybody other than players like Davis. Davis and May are the two for me that would have been nice to keep, but I understand why they wouldn't want to stay, especially like Davis put out on loan, etc. Can't have made him feel valued or connected to the club to have a spell in Norfolk for 4 or 5 months, and that the other end of that deal didn't go our way. I know we've kept Gold now. I'm assuming that's because he was on a 1.5-year contract at least. But yeah, as I got it, one of our worst bits of business this season to lose Davis and getting Gold. And I know Gold only had 5 games before he got injured. But yeah, he's one player. I'm fine with keeping because I feel like there's definitely quality there, 100%. Like you don't score that many goals in the National League and the National League North if you're not a very good striker for non-league. But he'll say it himself. I'm sure he's got if he does stay, he's got to prove himself a lot next season. And we're yet to see him properly play under King, so it'll be interesting to see what he can get out of him. But yeah, I'm definitely willing to give him a chance. But that was I think if you just had a deal to sum up the season as to why it went badly, that would have been one of them. With Davis going the other way to Gold coming in. But in terms of players we kept, I don't think we keep Corbett personally. I'd love to be wrong because I feel like he'd be amazing at the level, but I feel like he's going to get snapped up. Kai, because I think he's got 7 goals, 8 assists since November, and he had about 2 months where he just went missing pretty much. Not from not playing, he just wasn't performing particularly well. So to get that sort of numbers, I know he can frustrate people at times, but he's got passion.
Yeah,
he's definitely got a good sort of will to win. You can see that he cares. I like that in a player. Wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's definitely got quality. So I'd love to keep him, but I'm not sure he will stay because I feel like he might get offers. Eastman's an interesting one. Like I didn't really consider Eastman because I didn't know how long his contract would be for. But he's a good one to keep. Obviously, like great player, probably one of our better players this season. 100%, great leader, of course. That's what we need. Not sure he will stay or not, but maybe part-time Tunbridge training suits him, being more London-based. Not sure, but yeah, could work for him. Happy to keep Craig. Offer, again, we're saying players get offers. I'd imagine he'll have quite a few on the table, whether that be from National League, League 2 clubs, or players like what happened with Fletch Holman going to higher up academy. I can see a lot of scouts up and down the country have his name in the youth section of their scouting list. But I feel like for Arthur, if you're listening, Arthur, what's best for your development, mate, is another year of the Mighty Sports. Because honestly, like you laugh, but like there's no value on playing games. He's 17, like he doesn't need to rush his career. Like albeit I understand if like Brighton come in or Wolves, whoever it may be, Southampton, I'm not sure. If they come in, it's obviously a great opportunity to get yourself on a pathway to be a proper professional footballer. But if there aren't any great offers on the table and he wants another year, he'll easily play like another 40 games if he stays fit in that league next season and be a big part of us hopefully getting back up again. So, yeah, I can see him potentially going, but obviously very happy to keep him. Hobden just be a good second choice keeper, I think. Solid. To have a backup number 2, like he proved himself in a couple of games. Did have a bit of an iffy game against Tottenham, but like I'm not really worried about that. It's one game. Every player's gonna have bad games, and he's only a young keeper, so he's got good ability, good talent. I like what I've seen so far, so good to keep him at number 2. Mullins and Omateo, I'm sort of doing them together. I think they're 2 players who've got a lot to prove. Mullins, I'm not sure his best position is. I've no idea. I mean, perfectly honest, I'm not sure if he's a right back, a winger, a striker. No idea. So it'll be interesting to see where he plays next season. But yeah, a player who's on his day, or in his debut, wasn't it? He got 3 assists on his debut, or second game, wasn't it? It was Hampton and Richmond. I think it was the second game. Home debut, I think it was, might have been. Yeah. I think his debut was Torquay, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And then so he's one that we probably got a bit more to see from. But you've got to think all these players, like people like Mullins, etc., albeit they maybe not cut it at times at this level. We're going down a league next year. It's going to be easier, right? So just because they're
that.
It is going to be easier. It's going to be easier, Bob. It is.
Never underestimate that.
That's the facts of it. I'm not underestimating it. I'm just saying it's going to be easier. Like you say, if we go up, it's going to be harder. It's just the way football works, isn't it? Like, I think that's the facts of it. Also, there's some good teams. Like next season, like Avery will be a threat. Chatham will be a threat. People like even like Morden and Tiptree coming up, like dangerous. They'll have a lot of money to spend
in more ways than one.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, no comment.
touch subject.
No comment. No comment. We'll stay on the right side of the line and download podcasts. Anyhow, moving on. Yeah, what was I saying? It's going to be an easier league in terms of quality. I feel. From what I've seen, we went to watch Dulwich Hamlet versus Hashtag, and maybe it was because end of the season, but it felt like sort of slower paced, more space. So, we'll see how we go. But yeah, Mullins, got a bit to prove, but one of those where there could be a player in there. And then Phipps and Trusty both been pretty reliable this season, so happy to keep both of those in terms of their availability, reliability wise. And I feel like Trusty has obviously had a bit of a mixed season, but he's never really had a strong foot in any position. Like, he's been quite versatile, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It can't be easy to go from playing left back to centre mid to centre back to being on the bench, etc. Like, he's not really had and then no consistent manager. Like, for a young player, must be quite unsettling. Yeah, so happy to keep him. And then Phipps, I'd love to keep. Like, Phipps is probably the one on this list I'm really happy with keeping. Great lad from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Leader, excellent player, can score a goal from centre back, can organise a defence, can play in a 3, can play in a 2. Like, Phipps is everything you'd want in a centre back, unless you're named Ollie Kensdale, of course, but because he can then be replaced. But yeah, Phipps, amazing player. Hopefully we keep him. And then just to quickly touch on the ones in negotiation. I've said it in this podcast before. Would love to keep Freddie and Dan. But if Freddie, mate, if you could cut the red cards out, mate, that would be excellent. Had a few too many of those, anybody, in the last season. But other than that, would love to keep Freddie and Dan. And then Zach's obviously showed a bit promisingly from his couple of spells off the bench and in the CD Cups.
Yeah.
As we're taking this go, pretty decent, pretty happy. Let's see what we can do to add to the squad.
Shall we touch upon next season then? Shall we look?
Well, before we do that, Bob, we better have. I'm just gonna come back in on what Miles said there. I think I'm with you, Miles. I think that there are some of the younger players and certain players that we would want to keep, and I think you've highlighted probably the ones there. I will go to speak about Grouty. I mean, quite often I would, me and Joe would get to a game early, and we'd sit and have a chat with his dad. And I will say this, that he's I know his dad listens to this, and I'm not just saying it because he does, because I've actually said it to him privately. But I think they're very grounded, and I think his dad doesn't sort of get involved in his football as such, but he is very aware that it's not all about the jump now. There's plenty of time for that jump. And I think you're right, Miles. I think there's a lot to be learned. And I think even probably going down and learning how different players play, because there will be different players in that league. I mean, it's like you said, it should be an easier league. I actually think that for promotion, it will probably be a harder league. I think that the top 6 or 7 teams in the league at the end of the year will be very, very strong teams.
I think harder than the South. Harder from the South to get out of. Is that what you mean when you say that?
No, not harder. No, not harder to get out of, but a harder season than we've had this year, I think.
What, in terms of the teams at the bottom in that league are better than like lower to
no,
table?
No.
Is that what you mean?
So I think so you look, don't you, normally that the teams at the bottom will be the stronger teams in the league underneath. When you see it Premier League, they come down and they're who came down last year? They're normally favourites to go up. I don't think that will be the case in the Isthmian.
No, never normally is it?
And to be fair, I think one of our bigger problems as well, and I think one of the big problems with teams bouncing straight back up is, especially when, and we know it's not right, but we keep hearing, Eastbourne Borough, they're the money men, they're the team that have got all the money, the big rich owner and whatever else. And when you hear that, you become everyone's cup final. It's like looking at West Ham. Let's be fair. For the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's either West Ham or Tottenham that were going down, and I think either of them. It'll be after tonight. It'll be West Ham. I don't know. They haven't kicked off yet, so.
No.
But it becomes everyone's cup final. If you're going to the Olympic Stadium, if you're going to to Tottenham's, you've just become their cup final. They want to beat you, and I think we will be that team next year.
100%.
But I just hope that Kingy has dealt with this before, and for me, that's not about that's not about your playing squad. That's not about whatever. That is about mentality in the head. That's about your manager being a man manager that can say to all of his players, listen, they're going to come out today and they're going to play better. Don't worry about that analysis. We know what they do as a team, but they are coming out and they are 10% better today. If they play at 100% all the time, they're playing at 110 today because they want to beat you. And I think that's where a manager earns his money. And obviously we've got, we've got chat in a minute to do with regard to next season and whatever else. So what we do, we just have a quick word from our sponsors.
Hi guys, I'm Gary. I'm the owner of Polegate Car Sales. If you're looking to buy or sell your vehicle anywhere in the country, I am your man. We're open 7 days a week. Sunday is appointment only, but Ben works 6 till 10, any hour God sends. We look forward to seeing you soon.
So thanks to Gary down at Polegate Car Sales. And as we've said before, if you've got one to sell or you're looking to buy a car, go down there. Always get a good deal off of Gary. Mention my name and he will increase the price. No, he won't. But go down there and see him. You'll always get a good deal from him and Ben down there. Right, next season, guys. Obviously, we will do an in-depth analysis of our season through the summer. We've got a lot of time through the summer to analyse our team and analyse the other teams that are going to be in our league and look at the players that we know about. But we're going part-time, training at Tunbridge, a facility in Tunbridge, which will probably be easier to attract certain players that aren't travelling. It's quite easy to get to, straight down the 21, although the 21 is a bit of a nightmare at rush hour time, so training might start later. But, what's your thoughts? Miles, I'll come to you first. What's your thoughts on it all?
Yeah, it was a bit random, wasn't it? The Tunbridge announcement. Didn't expect it, but that's not to say it's not a good thing, because it shows that Steve's and Co and Simon, etc., are thinking outside the box, which is good. That's what we like to see. So yeah, it makes sense, I feel. I've seen a few people saying it's weird and they want to see us train where we play and etc. and it's not good for the local players, but I'm afraid now non-league football isn't about load of player from Sussex. I think Steve said it in his what's the word, meet the manager session a couple of weeks ago, that if you had a team full of players from Sussex, you probably wouldn't get very far these days. So we need to make sure we're attracting players from suburbs of London, those sort of places. And by training at Tunbridge, you cut the commute for these players in half, and it just makes sense. I mean, it's not too much of a commitment now for them, in the sense that players like Paxman and that, I think they were driving from like Colchester, Ipswich way, weren't they, every day to come down to training full time, which must have been horrendous. So twice a week, and if you've got a game on a Tuesday, obviously you're playing that game, of course, but you could be training once a week. Sort of feels like it makes sense to be able to get a better player pool through the door. We'll see if it makes a massive difference to recruitment, but I imagine players will be easily convinced to come to us, considering that we're probably, hopefully, touch words, going to be one of the better sides in the league with one of the better squads, and then training sort of makes sense. Sort of feel a bit bad for people like Grout that have to, sort of go up to Tunbridge now to train. But it sort of makes sense, and it's only an hour, isn't it? So I'm sure he can suck it up if he does decide to stay and doesn't get any offers of course. Yeah, nice and quick for me. Good decision.
Yeah, I'm with you. Quite short and sweet. I think a good thing. I think it will be. It's probably something that Steve knows. Obviously, Steve, I would presume, will be full-time himself. Gives him more time to go and scout other teams and work out how we address the games against them. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think, when you get to the level of the South and especially the Isthmian, if you are looking at full-time footballers, you are probably shopping in the bottom 20%, 30% of players that are available, because there are leagues above that they can play and they can get more money. But I think as a part-time club, we're probably shopping in the top 30 or 40% of players, because where the level changes. So yeah, I'm good with it. I think if it gets us back onto a footing and gets us up, at the end of the day, will we go up next year? I don't know. I'd love to. Of course, no one wants to sit in the Isthmian forever. But I just want a good season.
Lewis.
I just want to go back to enjoying football again down at Priory Lane. So yeah, that's it for me. Bobbie, your thoughts?
Listen, this season it's got to work. It has, literally has. Yeah, as you said at the end, then no one wants to sit in this league forever. And you look at teams like Lewis, who have been down here since they got relegated to National League South all their years ago, and they've not had a crack at it since. So I think this season, and I don't want to use the term make or break for Simon and Alan, but I think if we, not to put the pressure on anybody, but if we don't get out of this division at the first attempt, targets will and cost probably could be on backs. Listen, I think I said a lot about Steve King when we did the podcast about him coming in. My opinions were strong, but after speaking to him and listening to what he had to say at the management meet the board, then I'm fully on board with him. I'm just hoping that with us training away at Tunbridge, coming to part time, it works. It's worked for teams like Barrow when they were on the rise, and maybe yes, they came from non-league into League 2, and they were there for a while. But listen, hopefully this is the turn of the page, and we can rewrite. It's not rewrite, but we can write history, and hopefully this time next year we'll be saying we're Isthmian League champions or we're Isthmian League playoff winners.
Just on that though, Bob, with the whole expectations and pressure, etc. I don't know. I thought I disagree with the fact that we got to go up first time asking. I just feel like we need, as a fan base, need to get out of that mindset. Obviously, like, goes out saying it would be amazing. Like, I'd love to be able to sit here in a year's time, make a podcast as us as champions, 100%. Like, don't get me wrong. But if we look at the record of teams coming down, it's not good. It's not good, and we can't expect, because we're Eastbourne Borough and we're a National League South size club, we're going to come into this quote unquote Tim Pot League, or whatever people want to call it, and just have a field day essentially, and just win it at a counter or go up for the playoffs. I said it earlier, it's going to be an easier league. There's still probably another 6 teams that will fancy their chances next season. Aveley are a massive threat. Chatham are a threat, Dartford are a threat, St Albans, they get their act together, big club for the level, Dulwich Hamlet have got 2,500 people going to their games. Like, there's plenty of competition in this league. And for me, I feel like if we just get to the point where we're sort of stable but competing at the top, so I think for me a successful season would be playoffs. Like, if we get in the top 5, I think that'd be good. Because we see what happens to like Torquay. Like, I was gutted for Torquay. Like on Saturday, whenever it was, Because they're a fan base that have had so much pain, so much hurt, and so much disappointment in the last 10 years or so. For them to be pretty much 2 leagues below where they should be, we're 1 league below where we should be, and to not go up is heartbreaking for them. And they get a lot of stick talky fans because a few idiots in their fan base ban round disrespectful things to National League South, and we can't be that fan base. When we sort of go to teams like Stanway Rovers and Whiteleaf or whoever it may be, I'll pick those teams out because
mighty Stanway Rovers, right?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This is what I'm talking about, Baz. You're all part of the problem, mate. This is exactly what I mean.
That's why I said it. That's why I said it.
That precise. Okay, so that jest.
That's why I said it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, totally.
We deserve to be in the same league as them, and they deserve to be in the same league as us because football.
100%.
There's nothing more that winds me up in football than I'm going to go a bit of a rant here about something that's not Eastbourne Borough related that we can't control for once.
100%.
When you see on Twitter about these teams, people moaning about the fact that Brighton, Bournemouth, and Brentford are going to be getting in Europe, and they'd rather see teams like Bolton and Bradford. I'm just picking some teams that are in the Premier League back in the day, West Brom, whatever, because they're not the staple teams. Isn't that what we love the sport about? Is the fact that 100%. Teams can go up or down, and the fact that we're in the same league as Whiteleaf and Carlisle have got to go to Hornchurch next season, and Lincoln are going away to West Ham. Sorry, Baz. You know what I mean? This is the whole reason we love the sport. So,
if there's anybody else out there that wants a space on this podcast, a certain person.
Yeah, I've just been sacked.
I know.
But before I get sacked, I will finish my point.
Go out on a bang. Yeah. Go out on a bang, Miles. Why not?
I'll go out on a bang. This is the whole reason we love the sport, and albeit we're on the wrong receiving end of this, but if somebody catches me this season saying oh, why are we playing teams like Cray Wanderers or why have we got to go to Whiteleaf? Just please tell me to stop and shut up and watch this video. Just because I want to go into this league with a mindset of we deserve to be here. We've got to roll our sleeves up and get on with it. I don't want to see any whinging from the no, certainly won't be from the board because they're massively accountable for why we're here. So they've certainly got to get on with it. The players that have got stayed from this last season to this season, they've got us relegated, so they've got to get on with it. And us as fans, albeit we are probably we are the least in control of what's happened. We still got to get on with it. I'll keep saying the phrase, but we don't want to become known as that fan base that just come down whinging all the time. Especially if we don't do well, because it'd be easy if we are clear by 10 points by February, and we know we're going to go up. It would be easy just to have a bit of a laugh about it, and the fact, this Eastern League's a load of it's tin pot nonsense. The fact is, it's going to be battles. It's going to be hard. We're going to lose games. We're going to have an embarrassing result in this season, 100%. One of your Three Bridges, Whiteleaf, Stanway Rovers, Wingate and Finchley, etc., etc. Sorry if you are a fan of those clubs. They're going to beat us, and it's going to hurt. But this is part of football, and we're here now. And we've got to get on with it. So I don't want to hear any whinging that we're in a 10-pot league, because we are where we are, and hopefully we go back up. There we go. That's
exactly. No, 100%. And we are going to lose games, no matter where we finish in this league. We are not going to absolutely. We're not going to walk it, and we're not going to walk it invincibly. We are going to lose games, and if you're going to sit there and after we've lost 1-0, to Stanway Rovers, you're just an idiot because we're going to lose.
We've got to be measured, haven't we? We've got to be measured. If we get to September time and we're 7th or 6th or whatever it may be, that's cool. For me, as long as you're in the fight, you look at Boreham Wood where they went up, and then obviously nearly if it wouldn't have been for last minute goal and penalties, it would have gone up to Football League. They were pretty bang average for the majority of the National League South season. They went up, in my opinion. They were hovering around the edge of playoffs. Well, they had a bad start, though, didn't they? Obviously, sacked their manager. Yeah, Garrett came in, but they weren't. Even when Garrett came in, they got tonked 4-0 with Maidstone. They were about to fall out of the playoffs, and then something's clicked. As long as we're in the fight this entire time, and we go in with a wet sail to the end of the season, that's what I'm more worried about. Because look at the teams who won the playoffs this season, like Hornchurch and Kidderminster, etc. Where were they at the start of the season? Kidderminster had a quote unquote poor start, and then back in the season, obviously Adam does what Adam does, and he's got them up. So let's not judge it too early. Is what I'm saying. Like, let's give Steve King a proper crack at this, and these new players. And I just really want to go in with more positivity and stop being a negative, negative Nelly, I guess.
I totally agree, and I think we, there is a way of approaching it, and I've said it once or twice in this already in this podcast, but we will be the team that people want to beat. So we will lose games of football. There's no getting away from that. And you're exactly right in what you said, Miles. I think it was Sir Alex Ferguson said once, listen, it doesn't matter what decision goes for you or what decision goes against you. At the end of the season, the best team will be top of the league and the worst team will be bottom of the league. And that's it.
100%.
There's no getting over it. You will get lucky results here and there. You will get lucky decisions here and there. But at the end of the day, the best teams finish at the top and the worst teams finish at the bottom. It's what it is. And, we finished bottom last year, so we can say, well, we were the worst team. We were. Statistically, we were.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
And we need to, address that. You can't change what's happened in the past. You can only affect what happens in the future. And, listen, I struggled towards the end of the season. But I think sometimes that break, that little bit of a, reset, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. Now, if we went, this is the thing, we're all resetting ourselves now. We're all saying, right, okay, let's look forward to the season, To me, more than looking forward to the season, I mean, all right, we've got the World Cup to go through this year, which is quite nice because it sort of spans the football season, and before you know it, you're back into it. But we get together on here, or you play football on a Sunday night, so we can always and we get together, right? So, but there are people at Eastbourne Borough that you will not see until the start of the season next year, and they're actually people that I like seeing. I enjoy their company, and I think that's the thing where we need to, that is what Eastbourne Borough always has been, to all of us. Back when it was Langley Sports or whatever else. It is a community club. And listen, again, I understand people saying, oh, they've got rid of the bowls, they've done this, they've done that, they've done the other. Yes, they have. But at the end of the day, they are trying to streamline the football club, rightly or wrongly. I'm not going to say they've done it rightly or wrong. I personally think that, hang on a minute, you sit there and say, and there may be a business case for it. I've never asked the question, but they sit there and say, oh, there's no one in the clubhouse is dead, we need people coming in. But then they haven't got a pool team, they haven't got a darts team, they haven't got so to me, there's a way that you can do something about that. There may be, like, as I say, there may be a business case as to why they haven't got that, and I don't know that. And it's their business and it's their choices to make, as a club and as a ownership of the club. But, we can't go on. I'll stop myself there, David. But we can't go on, and we need to look forward and look to what we can do in the future, as to the way it's going to be. And I literally just want to go down there and enjoy my football again.
Yeah,
and that's definitely what it is for me.
Yeah, last point from me on that as well. I just want to go back to fighting for my club again. If nothing else next season, I want to go back to coming out of games and really caring either way, being absolutely jubilant if we win or really down if we lose. Might sound strange, but because back in the last season I just knew our fate, and I haven't really cared about an Eastbourne Borough result, being perfectly honest with you, since Worthing, because I didn't want to let them win the league. But since then I haven't. I've checked. I literally checked I was out with the family when we were playing Hemel. I just looked at it. I just felt numb. I just saw Hemel score. I was like, oh well. So I didn't really care, and that's just so not me. So I just can't wait to get back into August and actually give a damn. Come on here, have a rant, have a cry, have a laugh, celebrate, and really praise the players. I'm not a negative person. I just hate getting on their backs, but also I think it's important to be honest. So that's why I've been how I am this season, I guess. So yeah, if we can go back to fighting and having something to cheer for, that'd be incredible, and get that community feel back around Borough in terms of all the fans being on one page with things and on sides. That'd be amazing. I know there's obviously different factors involved in that, and not saying everyone should have different opinions on how certain situations have played out or circumstances have happened. If we can get winning on the pitch solves a lot of that, I feel that'll be great.
Yeah.
Bobbie, your final words on the whole.
Yeah. Just listen. This is a defining. If this isn't what is, this going to be one of the biggest seasons in this club's history. Listen, I think what we need to do is, as collectively, as a fan base, is put everything aside from last season and just come together, and we got to back this team in whatever form, whatever shape for the next 40 or so, the next 40 or so games. Yes, we're gonna have extra games in the FA Trophy, the FA Cup, the League Cup, and the Sussex Cup. We've got
Sussex Senior Cup. Come on.
Sorry, Vaz. That's me getting banned from the podcast as well now. So there's another space. There's another space for if anyone wants it.
Nah, it's Baz's Monologues, new podcast.
Yeah, I'll just edit the words out.
No, but listen, seriously, I think together as a fan base, back our signings, back who we signed, back the players, back Steve King. Listen, the boys are going to need it. I think your support, everyone's support doesn't go unmatched. I know obviously attendances this season were obviously not as what they were compared to 24. We are 24.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
All right, we're getting there. 24-25, but I think you never know. If we're in a good place, come March, I'm sure we'll see attendance on the rise of 2,000 again, and we can all have a party behind the goal. For me, I think it's just don't mind if we lose. We're going to lose games. We're going to win them. Hopefully going to win them. But just obviously be prepared for different football, different grounds. A whole lot of carnage in the Isthmian Premier League.
Lewis FC, we're coming for you.
Yeah, and I think that's it as well. We've got new grounds to go to. We've got places that some of us wouldn't have been to for a long time, and new grounds that I'm going to go to. So, and so I'm sure the same with you guys as well, and grounds we haven't been to for a while. In Averley and places like that. So it is what it is. It is what it is, and I don't in what I've said there. Listen, I know I'm opinionated, and I know that some people don't like what I say, or don't enjoy what I say, or think that I'm coming off, with a different angle to what I'm actually. I if that's the case, if you don't like me, you don't like me. There's nobody's forced to like anybody. Nobody is forced to like. You will get the people, the keyboard warriors, and I think. We all know who they are. They're not people that go to the club. A lot of them are not people that go to the club. They're just, and I think we've seen that, Bobbie, since we've been doing the forum. You see stuff, and we don't censor stuff, but sometimes there are people that comment, and it will flag up to us as admins. And we do remove stuff if it gets a little bit too much, or but we will always give people feedback as to what it's done. Yeah. Nobody loves everybody, but at the end of the day, even if people don't like me, don't like what I do, whatever, and similar, if there's people that I don't quite enjoy and I don't like what they do, at the end of the day, what we need to get back to is a mutual respect. And I think we've just got to be a little bit more accommodating about everybody and get back to all enjoying the part of what we do and the part we play in supporting, at the end of the day, our football club. And that's where we've got to be, because otherwise people aren't going to want to go anymore. I wasn't enjoying it towards the end of the season and I didn't go. All right, I didn't want to see us get relegated, But there was games at home where actually I thought, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to go and work, or I'm going to focus on, on other stuff. And actually, especially when we played at home against Tottenham, having a 2 or 3 hour window might have actually freshened me up for what I needed to be doing anyway, rather than, I might have needed that break. But I just thought to myself, I didn't want to be doing it. So there you go. So guys, look, it's been a bit of a long one tonight. By the time we edit it out, probably about just over an hour. So thanks for watching. Thanks, boys, for coming on. I've enjoyed getting back to it. And we will be back soon. We're going to try a few new bits this season as well. We're going to be over the summer. We're going to be doing some analysis on the other teams in the league. We're going to possibly try and do a watch along, possibly, and we're going to look at getting some fans on from our club and from other clubs, which we did do a bit of this year, but we want to build on that network. So if there's anything you want to see us do, anything you would like us to be talking about, you can always fire a message at any one of us. Fire it at us on the forum or privately if you've got our numbers, and we will build that in. But we will be looking to getting back to doing one a week at the moment. Obviously, we may do some off the cuff ones if signings get announced. For instance, if we came out on say Thursday this week and announced 4 or 5 players and whatever else, or we'd lost 4 or 5 players or whatever, then we may come on and just do a short one. So we're going to be quite flexible. But like I say, anything you want us to talk about, give us a shout. Let us know, because we're here. We actually enjoy doing what we're doing. I don't give a monkeys if 10 people watch it and 2 people like it, because I actually enjoy what I'm doing here, and I know Miles does. I know Bobbie does. We enjoy just sitting here chewing the fat, and we're talking about something that we love. We're talking about our football club, and the football club that we love. So, Sorry, yeah, go on, Miles.
No, on that, I was gonna say, obviously we enjoy it, and I generally do it if I had 3 people watching. I don't really care about views, subscribers, all that. But saying that, if you could like and subscribe, that would be pretty good. We want to.
I like it. That's the way. Double bluff 'em. Reverse psychology always works.
No, generally, I don't even look at that stuff. I like Callum Hart. But yeah, big thank you to everyone for the support this season, because we're sort of wrapping up the season now, aren't we? We obviously started it properly this season. We obviously had a few back end of last season, but we started properly this season. I feel like this is sort of now our content style, I guess, and people have really bought into it. And it's a bit strange, I can't lie. Going to things like the fans forum and just getting random people coming up to me. Not saying we get tons, only a couple. Just saying oh, Miles, like the content, that sort of thing. It's just weird. It's just weird. But thank you for your support, whether that be in person or online. And also, weirdest one before we go. Me and Bob had this. We were literally just about to finish talking to Steve King. And then Gary Wilson comes up to me. Obviously, I know who Gary is. And he goes, "Miles, nice to meet you, mate. Really enjoyed the podcast." I was like, what has just happened? Yeah, if you're watching Gary, I know he's a very humble man, so he probably won't like me sort of shouting him out like that. But yeah, stuff like that just makes you realise that we do have a big reach on the fan base, and what we say does, holds a bit of weight, which is nice. We just do it for the love of it at the end of the day. So yeah, thank you for the support. Anyone that's watched it once or 10 times, 20 times, listened to us ramble too much, we appreciate it.
100%, and we do appreciate the feedback. We know that there are some people out there that say, "Oh, it's a little bit too long" and whatever else, and we know that. But it's like today, for instance. We're trying to catch up with so much, so we do try and make them shorter. We may look in the end at putting them as audio podcasts, but that's something we need to look at, because it's it does work out that it's a numbers game. But one way you can help is if you've watched it and you enjoy it or don't enjoy it or whatever, listen, we're not gonna get the ump if you haven't enjoyed it. But just leave a comment under the video at the end when you've watched it. Tell us what you've enjoyed. Tell us what you haven't enjoyed. And like I say, tell us what you'd like us to see us do in the future, because that's what we are here for. So once again, thanks, Bobbie. Thanks, Miles.
Yeah.
Thanks,
No
Gary,
worries.
for
No
sponsoring us. And we, guys, will see you soon. So until then, up the sports.
Up those sports.